Why is it that some people seem to have such an easy time transforming their body and living a healthy lifestyle, whereas you feel like you keep putting in effort and falling off the wagon over and over and over again? This is the perfect video for you to be watching or podcast for you to be listening to if that's been your life to this point in your relationship with fitness. After coaching over 1,000 ambitious professionals, people like you, we've seen some common patterns or habits that thread together the most successful of the bunch. And that's exactly what we're going to be sharing with you today. We're going to break down the 6 most common success principles, habits, and patterns that lead to success in a fitness journey so that you can apply those for yourself, break through the plateau you're on, and really accomplish the goals that you have set for yourself.
Now, if you don't know who we are, my name is Brian Pickowitz.
And I'm Lindsay Pickowitz.
And we are the head coaches and co-founders of the Fitness Project, where we focus on building fit and healthy leaders. Now, for us, we focus on building business leaders, executives, and managers into the best version of themselves by really helping them become a fit person. Because when you have your health, when you have your vitality, you're able to work more, do more, contribute more because you've taken care of yourself first. Now, the first of these principles is so important to recognize because it all starts with our psychology. And so the most common principle amongst all of our most successful clients is that they associate more pain with staying on the path that they're currently on than they do with changing. Now, this is so important because for a lot of people, change is hard. Right? Actually, for all of us, change is hard, but for some of us, we resist it. And you think about a lot of the ways we go into a fitness journey. It's reluctant, it's a should, it's a, I know I should do this, but I don't really want to. And that's because we haven't associated enough pain or enough consequences to the current path we're on. We haven't really asked the question, what happens in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years if I allow these negative habits to compound? And until you confront that negative truth, you're never going to change. And so for our clients, what they do is they say, oh my gosh, like if I stay on this path, it's going to cost me success in my business because I don't have any energy. I'm burnt out. The business can't keep running this way, and I certainly can't either. They also associate that they're going to miss out on some of the joys of life. Maybe they're not going to be able to be as present with their kids or their grandkids. Maybe they're not going to be able to enjoy the travels that they have in the future. There's something that they're going to miss out on, and to them, it's something that they cannot tolerate. So until you get to the point where you recognize that the path you're on is unsustainable and unproductive for your quality of life, you're most likely going to stay in that same cycle of starting and stopping again and again and again because you really haven't addressed the root, which is, hey, this is less than what I deserve. And I have to be willing to let go of who I am today in order to get to who I want to be in the future.
Number 2. Our most successful clients don't just try to change their body. They seek and embrace a lifestyle change. See, if you try to change your body without changing yourself, you might attain the look that you want or the weight loss you want, but very quickly once you get there, you're going to revert to all the habits that led to the other body. And so without changing yourself, you're not going to have a new body that actually sustains. Slowly your body will revert back to where your lifestyle and your habits left off. So our most successful clients recognize that. They see the yo-yo. They know they've gained and lost the same 30 pounds over and over again. And so when they start their journey with us, they say, this has to be different. I really need to change my lifestyle this time. It needs to be permanent. And that mindset going in and reinforced every week and every month is really what leads to their success, where they do build the body once again, maybe even better. But the most important thing is that it actually becomes just a part of who they are. It's not something that they ever worry is going to fall off again.
Number 3 is they actually go after what they want. And so successful people know what they want and are willing to pay the price to get there. You can think of that for yourself. Do I actually have a compelling goal? Do I actually own my goal? And am I willing to pay the price to get there? Now, oftentimes that sounds really aggressive. That sounds like really intense. Oh my gosh, I have to give up everything in my life to get to that goal. Maybe not today, right? The ultimate goal is that you have a healthy life. And so maybe today progress looks like reducing some of the pizza, right? Or maybe it looks like having a healthier relationship with food or managing stress in a different way. You do not have to be all in on the behaviors from the start, but you have to own what you want, because a lot of times people diminish their goals because they do not want to, have a criteria for failure, right? Because if you create a criteria for success, you say, oh my gosh, I want to lose 50 pounds. Well, every single time that you are not at 50 pounds in your mind, you might tell yourself you're a failure. So if you don't own what you want, it's oftentimes because you're afraid of failure. So we have to work through that fear in order to get to the other side. But there's also a second really, really toxic and powerful pattern that keeps people from going after what they want. And that is they're afraid of rejection. They're afraid of other people judging their goal. They don't want to tell their friends that they're going after because they don't want to hear that same stupid story, which is, oh my gosh, what diet are you doing? Oh, are you trying that again? Oh, I've been successful too. If you're someone who has talked about weight loss in the past to your friends, you know how challenging it can be to really own your goal when you're getting their voice in your head. So the key here is understanding that it's your goal. And if you want to be successful with this, you have to go after what you want. You have to claim it. Now, you do have to meet yourself where you're at, which is really what we're going to talk about next, is how do you do that? How do you actually make progress when it feels like it's miles away? But if you do not own the fact that you want to look a certain way, you want to feel a certain way, you want to lead a certain way, if you don't own what you want, you'll never have it. And so it's so important. The key amongst all of our most successful clients is they do own their goal. And they say, you know what? That's what I actually want. And here's why I want it. And I am willing to pay the price. I'm willing to put in the work. I don't have to be perfect, right? We don't ask any of our clients to be perfect. We don't ask them to change everything overnight. But we do say, if this is what you want, here's how we can get there. And let's be a great team to support you in that cause.
Once our most successful clients claim what they want, then comes the work. And that is what leads us to our fourth principle for success if you have fitness goals, which is you have to build small, sustainable habits for success. Our most successful clients don't try to overhaul their whole life. And that's the most common approach to fitness is, okay, I have a fitness goal, I want it, and maybe those other principles resonate with you and you're already doing those things, but you go too aggressive. You do too much and you can't sustain it. So even though you want it and you have motivation, you have drive and desire, you fall off because your lifestyle doesn't meet that goal. Those things you're trying to do don't fit. It's like square peg, round hole. For our most successful clients, they embrace the fact that they need to meet themselves where they're at. And they can do that by building small, sustainable habits. In fact, there's one particular type of habit that our most successful clients lean on. And that habit is called a keystone habit. A keystone habit is essentially the one habit that has a positive ripple effect on the rest of your habits and behaviors throughout the day. For our clients, they have one powerful keystone, which is their morning. They put some type of behavior in the morning that tells them, I'm going to be healthy today, or I'm taking care of me today. And that one tiny behavior, even if it's 5 minutes, ripples into their day and keeps them on track even when life gets chaotic, even when they're crunched for time or they wake up late. That one habit that they put in place makes a huge impact. So if you don't have some way to start your day that reminds you of your goal and what you're working towards, that would be a really good place to start with that particular principle of building small, sustainable habits.
Now, number 5 is actually one of the most important pieces of any successful transformation, but unfortunately, most people miss it when it comes to fitness. You see, they focus only on the external, and they never go inward. They never do the inner work, and that's where real transformation happens. Now, what that means is you have to be able to regulate your emotions. You have to be able to process your emotions, or at least understand how they're driving your behaviors, and you also need to condition your thoughts. You have to condition a new way of thinking in order for you to get a new result. And this is so important because the things that derail our ability to execute aren't that we don't understand how to eat or we don't have a workout plan. It's that our emotions get in the way. We get stressed. We hit this threshold where we don't know where to turn, and we revert back to our old patterns. We revert back to our old ways of living. Or we have these really stressful or uncomfortable emotions come up, and when we're in discomfort, we seek comfort from our old habits, right? And that's what derails so many people's journey. They start to feel a little discomfort and they turn to food, or they feel uncomfortable in a social situation so they overeat. It's the ability to understand and process our emotions that allows us to move through them. And then when it comes to our mindset, you have to understand that the way you think about the challenge impacts the way you approach it. A lot of people, they think about their problems when they do solutions. They see a challenge as something that's breaking them rather than something that's making them. And so we really have to condition a new way of thinking, whether that's how we think about food, how we think about our health, how we think about our body, right? A lot of times people will have a certain meaning they associate with themselves and their weight, and irregardless of how much progress they make, they still say the same things about themselves. They still beat themselves up. They never feel like it's enough. And these are just small examples of where we can start to remove some of the weeds so that we can get to the root of what we need to do in order for this to be a permanent part of how we live. And then what's great is if you understand how to combine those two things, regulating your emotions, processing your emotions, and conditioning this new mindset, you are going to be on fire, because from there, it's all about execution, and that's what allows you to play this game longer and make it a permanent part of your life.
The final of the 6 most common patterns of our most successful clients comes from how they tackle challenges. Our most successful clients embrace feedback, and they learn from it. They don't see challenges and setbacks as reasons that they should quit. They see them as opportunities to grow. When you have a hard weekend where you fell off, that's an opportunity. When you've been inconsistent for a full week, even though you really had good intentions, that's an opportunity. When you overeat at night, that's an opportunity. There's always a lesson embedded into the challenge. And our most successful clients know that. They might not be able to pull that lesson out themselves. That's why they have us to extract what they can't see for themselves. But they come to the table open, curious, ready to face what they struggled with so that they can learn from it and they can grow. This ability to extract lessons and grow through challenge is truly the principle that ties all the rest together. Because you can be ambitious, you can set a goal, you can chase what you want, you can believe in small habits, you can try to regulate yourself and not be quite so stressed. But if you can't learn from challenges, your challenges will beat you every time. You have to become resilient if you want to be able to get what you want. And resilience comes from learning from the challenge. It doesn't come from not having them. So remember that.
In summary, these are the 6 most common traits amongst our most successful clients. I want to give them to you so you can start developing and adopting them for yourself and really get the results that you want, not just in the short term, but in the long term too. Now again, number 1 is associate more consequence or more pain with the path that you're on than the change that you're making. Ask, what is going to happen if I don't make this change? What is it going to cost me? What are some of the consequences, not just in the short run, but in the long run too? Number 2 is our most successful clients focus on building a healthy life, becoming a fit, healthy leader, rather than just focusing on a short-term weight loss goal. Number 3 is you got to own your goal. You got to go after what you want. You have to say, this is what I want, here's why I want it, and I'm willing to pay the price to get there. I don't have to be perfect, but I am willing to go after it. Number 4 is you got to focus on small wins. Build a morning keystone habit that allows you to make progress so that way you're anchored to your health and you are moving in the direction of your goal. Number 5 is understand that it's not just about the body, it's not just about the external, it's also about the inner work. You have to understand how to regulate your emotions, maybe those sticky emotions that keep you falling back to old patterns, and understand how to condition your mind. Build a new set of beliefs and a new thought pattern so you can get to that point where this is just a permanent part of who you are. And number 6, seek feedback. See each challenge as an opportunity to grow so that way you can learn from the setbacks, you can learn from the challenges, and you can really step into this as a permanent part of your life that just allows you to become that fit and healthy version of yourself.
Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, damn, I've got some work to do, good, we all do. Any goal that you're chasing is about becoming a better version of yourself. The goal is not on the other side of more checkboxes. It's on the other side of actually developing yourself into the person who can accomplish the goal, right? So take a second. As you went through that list, which 1 to 2 traits did you feel like you really needed to work on? Drop those in the comments below. And if you want to give yourself a little bit of credit, a little pat on the back, feel free to drop the one that you feel like you're just absolutely crushing right now, that you've got on lock, because that's going to be your launching pad. So comment that below. Let us know your biggest takeaway from this podcast, and we look forward to seeing your growth in the future and being in your corner.
Now go out and conquer your day.
Cheers.